right.
So we'll start with introductions. We could just like give a brief introduction about ourselves, explain why or how we became pro-life, and share what's on your bucket list. So my name is Matt, and I'm the president of the club. My name is Matt, and I'm the president of the club, and this is my last semester here, so I'm going to graduate soon. My major is kinesiology, and I've pretty much always been pro-life because my parents told me that abortion was murder when I was young, and I just accepted that. But as I grew older and researched the topic, I found that they were right. As for my bucket list, I want to get married and have a family.
Nice.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Hello, my name's Eduardo. I'm a history major. I'm graduating this semester too. Still gonna be here another one more semester because I'm going with my teaching credentials. I want to say like I became more pro-life when I was in high school, sort of like early years in college when I started to become more in tune with my faith, and that's how I developed that. And I started more advocating in university, and like started getting involved more. So yeah, and bucket list. I don't have anything at the moment, but I'll let you guys know if that changes. Thank you.
I guess I'll go. Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm actually a former student of Cal State Long Beach and also the former president of this club 2 years ago. I graduated in May of last year, and I'm currently pursuing my, oops, I have the backwards. I graduated with a bachelor's in English, and I'm now pursuing a paralegal certification, which is like not exactly how I where I expected to end up, but so far I'm liking it a lot. I really became interested in being part of the pro-life movement, I guess in high school, because I had this discussion with my friend who she didn't I'm sorry, because she believed that that abortion should be acceptable in cases of rape and incest, and I was like trying to like explain my conviction to her that the innocent life of the baby shouldn't be punished for that, and I wasn't able to really get my point of view across, and that really bothered me. And then later on in college, I became involved with Students for Life. And then bucket list, I'd like to travel to Japan someday. That would be really cool. Yeah.
I think I'll go next. So I'm Vanjie. I'm actually currently in high school, but still a student anyway. But I mainly became pro-life because my mom was pro-life, she was adopted. And at first I didn't really understand what I was doing because I was literally in front of the abortion clinic since I was a baby. But eventually I was like, shouldn't women have choices? But then I realized one of the choices should not be murder. That should not be on a choice list. That we should not say that's okay. And then I really got involved, and then I really started learning how many abortions happen a day, and it just broke my heart. I was like, this is unacceptable. This is the world we live in, and I can't have my kids grow up in this, what's happening today. So that's why I'm so involved in it right now. And my bucket list would probably be the same as Matt, just have a huge family and just have a bunch of kids and be happy.
I'll go next. I'm a health science student, and what was it? Oh yeah, I'm pro-life. Yeah, because I was always pro-life, just with the whole family situation and just pure logic. That too. And on my bucket list, I don't know. Yeah, maybe live in a small town somewhere, just anywhere at some point in my life.
Can I go? My name's Leia, and I'm pro-life, and my bucket list would be to get married and have kids one of these days, and find somebody good.
I'll go next. Okay, really quick. Hi, my name is Betty. I'm currently a fourth year, graduating this spring as well. I'm majoring in business admin. I've always been like pro-life. I think just growing up Catholic, life begins from the moment of conception. So like, yeah. So I've known that. Something on my bucket list is like going to like an Olympic game. So like I've bought tickets to go. I don't know if it's still gonna happen or not, but Tokyo 2020, which is happening this year. So hopefully I'll go. There's a lot of controversy of if Tokyo is going to open up or not, but if they do open up, I plan on going. So I might cross that off my bucket list this year.
That's awesome. I really hope it happens. You can go.
Has everyone gone this? I can go. I don't have to be last. So I am Jordan. I'm your new RC. So I started working for Students for Life at the very end of December. I graduated from Thomas Aquinas College. So my bachelor's is a liberal arts major. Let's see, I've always been pro-life. I'm from a family of 11, so my family is very pro-life. And but I think it like really hit me hard when I visited the Holocaust Museum in DC when I was a senior in high school. That just like it showed me the extent of the disvaluing of human life during World War II, and how pretty much any injustice of one person saying their life is more important than another's, like every scale is grand, and it's just horrible. We can't accept that. So I started going to the Walk for Life. I went actually every year during college, and I've gone about 6 or 7 times since then. I actually just got to go with Students for Life a couple weeks ago, which was great. But yeah, so I've just been pro-life active in that, and then I really got into sidewalk counseling after college, and that's what made me realize I wanted to do it for a living. And luckily I got this job like right before Christmas, so now I just get to do it full time. So it's great to meet you all, and this is actually my first training, so you guys are my guinea pig school, so
Yeah.
Did anyone who wants to jump in next?
I didn't go. I don't know.
Well, my name is Ari, and I got really into being pro-life. I learned about being pro-life when I was in high school, and then got into the movement this last couple months in fall with Susan B. Anthony list.
Hey.
Awesome.
Do you want to do your bucket list, Ari?
Oh, I forgot about mine.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
I don't
Well,
really know. I don't have a bucket list.
You guys don't think too. You guys, come on.
I think my bucket list, one of them is to run my third marathon, which got canceled because of COVID
Ooh.
last year. So I want to run one as like a raising awareness for the unborn. So that would be really cool.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, I think that's mine for this year.
Okay, I think I'll go because why not? So I'm Eliana, and I'm the twin sister of Vanjie.
I was gonna
Hello,
say.
we look the same. Anyway, but yeah, been basically pro-life since birth, you know, and my mom's been discussing it with me my whole life and just telling me the facts, you know what I'm saying? So the reason why I'm pro-life and always been very like super active in it. I worked with Susan B. Anthony, with Ari and my sister and my mom. And my bucket list is massive, I'll tell you that, but I only have to mention one thing. So I guess at the top would be going to Australia or Africa one day. I'm a big like animal person. And so a lot of my favorite animals are in Africa or Australia. So maybe one day that will happen.
Hi, I'm Andrea. This is actually my second year here as a member, as a club member. I'm a junior. I'm a rec therapy major, and I've been pro-life all my life. I'm Catholic, so I've grown up pro-life. Something on my bucket list would be to run a marathon. I'm actually on the track team and cross-country team at Cal State Long Beach. So I can't really run marathons right now because it interferes with my training, but I hopefully one day I get to run the marathon.
Did Daniel go?
Oh yeah, I can go. I'm actually so I'm Daniel. I'm part of the Newman Club here, or now it's called Beach Catholic. We're rebranding, as it were. And I have been, let's see. Well, I guess I was never a fan of, I wasn't a fan of abortion when I was growing up, but I've come from a pretty secular family, but I converted to Catholicism 2 years ago now. So during that process, I kind of looked into a lot of different issues, one of which is this. And I guess I could name the time I specifically became pro-life was when I was reading an article about, like, what was it about? Basically, like cosmetic abortions. So like things like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want a child that has Down syndrome, or like things like this, where they were like passing laws allowing for abortions if, it was a child that had a certain disability. And I just was like that. I kind of felt like this is just like I don't know, it's just like euthanasia in a, it's it's an injustice that seemed to me, well, I mean, other people should know about, and it seems so obvious once I looked into it. So I guess it's a good time, or that's probably the time I like positively became pro-life. And my bucket list, um, I don't know, actually. I don't really think about it. Yeah, I don't have a good answer. But I apologize. I actually do have to leave in about a minute, but yeah, I'll be back.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you guys want to take a group picture real quick while everyone's still here? I think you guys want to turn on your cameras and then.
Wait, sorry, what do we do?
Yeah, we're gonna take a group picture real quick. Just have everyone smile on 3, and then I'll just take a screenshot of the video.
Okay, am I supposed to click anything or do I just smile?
Just smile when I count down.
Okay.
All right, smile on 3, 2, 1. Nice. All right.
Good at this.
I'll take a picture. later. Okay, I guess, so I'm going to explain like what our club is about and the events that we've done in the past, and then Jordan will take over with her presentation. How do I... Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yep.
Nice. All right, so hi everyone, thanks for coming. We're the Pro-Life Club at Cal State Long Beach, and our club is called Students for Life of CSULB. And yeah, there's a pro-life organization called Students for Life, and our club is a branch of that, hence our name. And Students for Life, they've helped create over 1,000 clubs, pro-life clubs nationwide, and our club is one example of that. And Students for Life is nice because they give us resources and support to help table and all that. And Students for Life mission, of course, is to abolish abortion and then also promote a campus environment that's supportive of pregnant parenting students so that they choose life. And if you guys want any more information on Students for Life, you can also visit their website. So here's some examples of like the past events that we've done when classes were still in person. We table on campus, and in the bottom left, we have a poll table. It says, should abortion be illegal? And we would just like poll the students walking by. And it was nice because it would give us the opportunity to dialogue with pro-choice students and then also try to recruit more pro-life students into the club. And then the picture in the middle is the same thing. It says, as a sign that says, where do you draw the line? And students can walk up and vote where they think the cutoff for abortion access should be. And then that'd give us a chance to dialogue with them.
Okay.
And then in the last picture, it's this happened, I think 2 semesters ago. Yeah, Planned Parenthood was on campus for a career fair, and we tabled nearby to protest them, and we were just handing out information about them to the students passing by.
That's awesome.
And then we've also attended the March for Life West Coast, which is in San Francisco. We carpooled like 7 hours to get there. The ride took forever, but it was nice. We marched in the streets with like tens of thousands of other pro-lifers, so it was a cool event. A lot of people had really cool signs, and here's some pictures from that. And then the picture on the bottom right, it says it's easy to be pro-choice when you're not the one being killed. That is so true.
Yep.
And then just this last semester, we actually did some election canvassing for the 2020 election. Students for Life, they set up a campaign for clubs in California, Arizona, and Nevada to all go to Arizona and basically walk door to door and convince the voters to vote for their local pro-life candidates. So that was a cool experience. Here's some pictures from that. And then on this right side, you can see some pictures of the voters that we took pictures with. They were nice people.
That's great.
And then here's some other past events we've done. We've tabled on campus and spread awareness about the pregnant parenting students on campus. We've, in the middle picture is Seth Gruber, and he's actually a pro-life debater and speaker, and he pretty much travels around the country giving pro-life talks and debating like academics and stuff like that. And we invited him to campus about a year ago to give a speech at our school, so that was cool. And then in the picture on the far right, it's actually a picture of a protest of an abortion bill that would have required California universities to provide abortions on campus. That bill failed, but a later one, which was effectively the same thing, passed on. So I think it started in 2021. Universities in California are gonna provide chemical abortions on campus in their medical centers. So that's very sad. But if there's any young members in the club, you guys might have to deal with that. I don't know, but I haven't heard any information about it recently. Now that everything's online anyway, but
Yeah, I think it's actually supposed to be implemented by 2023.
oh, okay.
So we have like 2 years to, I guess, like prepare for that to happen, which at least there's time to, like, I don't know, start
Awesome, yeah.
trying to counter it, but yeah.
Hopefully Students for Life has some good plans for that. And here's some brief announcements. Our next meeting is going to be 2 weeks from now on the same time and the same link. We haven't decided on a topic yet, though. And if anyone's a student at Cal State Long Beach, you can join that club officially on BeachSync. And yeah, does anyone have any questions?
I was thinking that maybe a good topic for the next one would be industry impact because of 40 Days for Life. So it teaches you about 40 Days for Life and sidewalk counseling, how to like effectively sidewalk counsel women. 40 Days for Life starts on Ash Wednesday, which is February 17th, I think. So if we did that like right at the beginning, then you could start trying to go maybe like Saturdays to your local abortion clinic. I guess you're not all in the same area, so that's tricky. But if the people in the group who are in the same area wanted to plan group sidewalk counseling or just going out there with signs, that's really effective for 40 Days for Life.
That's true. Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's
Yeah,
something you can do during COVID because you just wear a mask. I mean, they don't even really enforce the masks, but if you wanted to, you could just social distance and wear a mask, and you're still abiding by the rules of California. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then here's some of our social media pages on. So our main social media page is Instagram, and our username is ProLifeCSULB, and that's just where we make announcements and post pictures of the events and activities that we do. So you guys can follow us on there to see more of what we're about. We also have a YouTube channel. It's called Students for Life of CSULB, and that's just going to be a place for me to upload recordings of the meeting. So if you missed a meeting and you want to see what we did, you can go there and watch it. And then we also have a club group chat on Facebook Messenger. That's just where I make announcements to everyone in the club. And we mainly where we talk to each other. If anyone wants to join that, let me know and I'll try to add you to that. Did it stop sharing? Oh yeah, it did. I do my part, and then I'll let Jordan take over right now with her presentation.
Alrighty, so let me just share my screen really quick. Just gonna make this smaller. Okay. Wait, where did the share screen button? Okay. Okay, so do you guys see like half the Zoom training and half of my PowerPoint right now, or what can you see?
No, we can't see you sharing anything
Okay.
right now.
Let's see there. Share. Okay.
Yeah, we see it
Okay,
now.
sweet. Okay, so this is a training on apologetics. So, like what Rachel was talking about, the importance of knowing how to respond, especially when you get those difficult questions about cases of rape and other things. So this is just kind of, this training is to teach you to just dialogue effectively and persuasively when people want to argue the abortion position, and to use science and philosophy. So that's really important. A lot of people, yes, they're pro-life because it's part of their faith, so, they can say like, well, I believe in the Bible and the Bible says it's wrong to murder, so I'm against abortion. Sometimes that can work with people who also are people of faith, but you want to be able to find common ground in the pro-life argument, even with people who are not, who don't believe in God or believe in the Bible, because we don't really think that abortion is just a religious issue. We think it should be a universal human rights issue. So you want to try to come from a philosophical standpoint and from a science standpoint, so backing it up with factual evidence about the baby in the womb being a person already, and not just because, oh, God says it's not okay to kill people. So the importance with that is to first listen and to understand. So you want to make sure that you're there to listen to the person and not just like win your argument. So you want to wait to talk and let them get their point across first. So yeah, and just show them that you're listening to them and you're not just there to be like, well, I'm going to prove my point and I'm going to be loud and proud until you listen to me. And then, yeah, just clarify objections is really important. So sometimes you can assume that people like are trying to get a point across. You can be assuming what they're saying, but they might be totally trying to say something else. So you want to make sure to ask, like, what do you mean by that? How did you come to that conclusion that, you know, that abortion is justified in this moment? So you just really want to be open with your questions and be clear. And then, yeah, like I said, with finding a common ground. So you might not be of the same faith, or you know, they might believe that abortion is wrong at a certain point, but you want to find out when do they think abortion is wrong, at which point. Because, you know, some people think, okay, once they have a heartbeat, then it's wrong. Or once they can feel pain, then it's wrong. Or once they're out of the birth canal, then it's wrong. You know, it's like, okay, how do we come up with this common ground of where we think abortion is wrong? Which you guys did that tabling, you said, of like, here's the timeline, when is abortion wrong? It's really good to kind of understand, because then you can argue from that point. And then, yeah, most importantly, just be kind, be nice to people. You're not there to win the argument or to say, I told you so. And honestly, you're not going to be effective if you're just there to get your point across. I don't know if you've ever like gone to sidewalk counseling before and there are people shouting with megaphones like, get away from this place, you're going to go to hell, you're going to, if you kill your baby. Like, that is not an effective way to talk to a woman and help her choose life. You know, you want to show her that you care about her, not just her baby, and that you want what's best for her. But starting from the beginning, you want to first go through like what abortion is. You want to have knowledge of that, and not just why it's wrong. So the next few slides are just going to go through the different kinds of abortion procedures and when they are performed. So just so that you can tell them exactly what's happening in an abortion, because a lot of people really don't actually know what's going on in an abortion. You know, abortion facilities want you to think it's quick and painless, and it's not. So the first kind of abortion procedure we're going to go through is chemical abortions, which is the abortion pill, or RU486, or toilet bowl abortions. And they can be performed up to when the baby is 12 weeks old. So this is a medical or chemical abortion, and yeah, and yeah, LMP stands for last menstrual period. So as long as you know that your last was 12 weeks or less before then, you can perform a chemical abortion. I think technically it's like the baby isn't too big at this point to kind of cause her to miscarry, because that's what's happening. So in a chemical abortion, there's 2 steps. So they give you a drug called mifepristone. You take it at the abortion facility, and that stops the woman's body from producing progesterone. So progesterone is something in the woman that allows her uterine wall to build up to be a defense for the baby. And so when they break that down, the baby is not able to stay in the uterus and it miscarries. So basically this is playing nature and forcing a miscarriage. And so the second medication is called misoprostol, and you can take that at home 24 to 48 hours after you take the first pill. So that's why they take the first pill and they give you a bag and you go home. I don't know if you've seen the movie Unplanned, but that's what happened in the movie Unplanned for her. Her first, it might have been her first or her second, I can't remember, but they perform a chemical abortion. And so, yeah, 24 to 48 hours after they take the first, they take the second drug. And that basically causes early labor. So it causes the first one causes the uterine wall to break down, and then the second one causes the emptying of the uterus. So the baby will be miscarried. So yeah, women are told to sit on the toilet and to flush, which is really terrible because they're just flushing their baby, which is just horrible. It is a human body, and most people think like a funeral for a human person is the dignified thing to do, because it is. And so this really just treats a human like it is garbage and disposable. And there are very intense side effects. So there can be a lot of hemorrhaging from the woman, and sometimes it can be so severe that they do have to go to the ER. And if it's incomplete, they have to actually go in for a surgical abortion where the doctor will have to go in and physically remove what is left over of the baby that didn't get passed. But luckily, we do have abortion pill reversal that has been, I guess his name is Dr. Delgado. He is a doctor in San Diego, and he developed abortion pill reversal. So this is where you can take the abortion pill, or if you take the first abortion pill and you haven't taken the second, you can get injections of progesterone to help build up that wall again and kind of save the baby from being passed. So basically reverses the effects of the first step, which is mifepristone. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions about the first procedure? Okay. All right. So the second one is a vacuum abortion. So I'm sorry if this is kind of intense. I don't know how much you guys have learned about these procedures, but it can be hard for some people to, listen to and go through, but it is important to know. So in a vacuum abortion, the woman is dilated and let's see. Okay. They put this, it's basically called an aspiration or suction. So they put this into a suction catheter into the woman, and it basically sucks the baby out of the uterus. So yeah, it's like a hose and it suctions it, and it can be almost 30 times stronger than a vacuum at your home. So basically just turns the machine on, and it runs the machine around the surface of the uterus to make sure it sucks all the pieces. Yeah, so the remains are sucked into the jar, and I think that is actually also shown in Unplanned as well. That's the procedure that was done that made her basically realize, I just saw a human get torn apart, because they have the baby on the ultrasound, so they know exactly where it is, so they can see where to place the suction, and then it will suck the baby out in pieces. And she basically witnessed that firsthand and realized that was a human, and now it's literally in this tube, and I'm watching this. And it can also be done by a handheld syringe as well. So that's the second kind. And yeah, so 7 to 13 weeks. So the first was up to 12 weeks. This just goes one step past, so it can be done up to 13 weeks. The third is dilation, and I think you say curettage with that. But yeah, that's a D&C. And this actually happens like when a woman miscarries, sometimes basically she knows the baby has died because they can't find a heartbeat, but she can't physically pass the baby. And so this actually has to be sometimes performed on women who have miscarried a baby, but they also use it, like very sadly, to abort babies. So when the baby is alive. So what they do for that is, let's see. The abortionist will insert the current. That's what this is called. It's used to scrape the uterine walls. Let's see. Yeah, so it's shaped like a knife, and he puts it into the woman, and basically cuts the fetus into pieces. Which I don't know how they can justify that ever, but yeah, he basically has to break it into smaller pieces so that it can be passed in the D&C abortion. Yeah, so this is common with a natural miscarriage if they need to remove part of the retained placenta. So pro-life OBGYNs can perform this only if the baby is passed, accidentally, but they also use it as a form of killing. And then, so dilation and evacuation. Oh, it actually didn't say how, so up to like 14 weeks. So that's just a little bit past the suction abortion. And then dilation and evacuation, which that sounds a lot like the suction abortion, but the cervix is dilated, and the abortionist will use forceps to dismember the fetus. So instead of using the current, it uses they kind of look like giant tongs, but they're sharp, and they dismember the baby. So basically they tear the limbs apart, which that's what happens in unplanned as well. There's like a room where they have to go and make sure that all the pieces of the baby have been removed. And if they're counting the pieces of the baby and they see that a part is missing, they have to go in and make sure that they have gotten rid of everything from the woman's uterus. Let's see. Yeah, okay. And at this point, 13 to 24 weeks is when this is performed, and the baby at this point has they have determined that it already definitely can feel pain, because their nervous system has already formed. At 20 weeks they can feel the pain, and actually people have more tests have shown that it actually might be as early as the first trimester. So it seems like probably in most abortions, babies can feel it, even the ones that are done very early on. But at this point, because it is done all the way up to 24 weeks, they definitely have been shown that they can feel pain. And a lot of time that argument really kind of resonates with women. If you can get them to understand that their baby will be able to feel the pain that they're about to put them through, that is an emotional argument that you can make that can really help them see, like, wow, I can't do this. And even though graphic images are intense, sometimes they are effective because you can look at exactly what happened to the baby and you can know the baby felt this, and that can really make people realize how inhumane it is. So that can be very effective, even though you do have to know your audience. Sometimes graphic images are not wise to be used, but sometimes they can be. Am I going too fast? Is everything good? Okay. All right, so a saline abortion is the last kind, and this actually has really stopped being performed because of how many times it was ineffective and people survived, or like the babies would survive, and they would be delivered still alive, and doctors would either have to wrestle with just leaving it there to die, or the mothers realizing my baby's still alive. And there are abortion survivors now of this procedure who give talks. I think her name is Gianna. I always forget her last name, but she's awesome. What's her last name?
I think her last name is Jessen, Jessen.
Oh yeah, that's definitely right. Awesome. Yeah, she's amazing, and she has like birth defects that were caused from this procedure being done on her, and her being literally like burned alive in the womb, and she somehow survived it. So that's what happens in a saline abortion.
There's also a cool abortion survivor. He survived the tongs one, and he got his arms ripped off and his legs, but he still survived, and he was actually like a champion wrestler, even though he didn't have arms or legs.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
like,
you
go, bro.
I know, seriously. Let's see. So yeah, in the 1970s, when abortion was legalized, they were basically trying to find a quick and easy way to abort babies. Like, so sad, but it was cost effective, and they wanted profit. So basically, they were like, "What's the cheapest way we can do this?" So that's how they did it. So they inject saline solution into the amniotic fluid, and the baby would suffocate, and then it would be scalded from the outside in from the saline. And I didn't even know this until I was reading this today, but they sit in that fluid for a few days, and then they are delivered stillborn by the abortionist. So, and that's because it's 12 weeks on. So that was one way to do an abortion up to birth, is to literally soak it in this saline to make it be burned inside and then delivered dead. But a lot of the time they would be delivered alive. And so obviously they were like, well, do we just leave them out to die, or sometimes they would snip the spinal cord if it was born alive, which but some of them did survive, and I'm guessing with the ones that the mother was like, well, you can't kill it now that it's out, the doctors would just say, okay, fine, you can take the baby. But I think a lot of the time when they were delivered alive, they would be killed by the doctor by snipping the spinal cord or just leaving it. that's why we have the Born Alive Act as a bill, that if the baby is born alive, it can't just be left, because doctors were doing that so often that we actually had to, it's shocking that we even have to argue that, like, the baby's sitting there and you have to save it, and that wasn't happening because, oh, mother's choice. So we had to implement the Born Alive Act, and that has been adapted. But hopefully everyone is abiding by that, but I don't know, you can never fully know that doctors are not still doing that. Okay, and last one is the heart attack abortion, which a lot of people know about this one. This is how you would deliver a baby full term. You inject something into the baby's heart to cause it to have a heart attack. That's called, I guess you pronounce it digoxin. And this can be performed all the way through 9 months of pregnancy. But most states actually do not allow for late-term abortions, but I do think it is still allowed in New Mexico and Colorado. It might be in other states as well, but as far as I know, there's just one late-term abortion facility in New Mexico, and Colorado is like the, I think Denver is where the facility is there for late-term abortions as well. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, a lot of the time you don't know why the woman would have an abortion so late in her pregnancy, because it's very clear that it is alive, but a lot of the time it's because they find out that the baby has Down syndrome or some other kind of disability, or even they find out that it's a girl and they want a boy. Like that happens in China. They had the One Child Act, the rule of one child, and so because most families in China can only have one, they would want a boy instead of a girl because they want someone to carry on the name and take care of them, you know. And so if they found out they were having a girl, they would often abort the baby, but it's sometimes hard to find that out right away. So they could be very late in their pregnancy and decide, okay, I'm gonna abort. That's why also there are so many female orphans in China, because they used to be just left if they were born and they weren't wanted, which is so sad. But I wish people would realize that leaving your child on the sidewalk because you don't want it, like abortion is the same thing, but it's hard to get people to come to that conclusion. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, so basically it takes a few days for this procedure to happen. They stop the heart, and then a few days later, and she'll begin the dilating process, and like 3 days later, then she'll be fully dilated, and they will deliver a dead baby. And she will be administered, let's see, misoprostol, which I guess is that second one. That's the second pill in the chemical abortion. She'll be delivered that as well, so that it will simulate labor, because if the baby is already dead, it's not going to be wanting to get out. Usually you go into labor because your baby is ready to come out, but if the baby is dead, it's not going to be ready ever, because it isn't alive. So they have to purposely induce labor by giving her that pill. So she will basically just deliver a stillborn child. And actually more than 11,000 late-term abortions are delivered every year in the US, which a lot of people, you'll argue this a lot of people think that late-term abortion does not still exist, and that abortion only exists because babies, 20 weeks and earlier are not humans, but once they can, feel pain, they are humans, and abortion isn't allowed after that. But no, it is, and you have to talk to people about that. Or also you want to argue with why is it a baby at 22 weeks when it wasn't at 20? That we're going to get to that. Let's see. Okay, so like I said before, we're going to be going through the pro-life position through philosophy and science. So basically, now that you've established what abortion is, the real issue is, well, is abortion wrong, or is it okay because a baby isn't a human? Because if a baby is a human and is a person, then obviously if we believe that killing a baby is wrong, we're gonna automatically say, well, performing an abortion is wrong because it's killing a baby. But some people are just going to say, no, the unborn baby is not a person at all. So you have to, you can define person, you have to define personhood first. So, so you want to be able to use science and philosophy to prove first that the baby in the womb is a person. Therefore, because of human rights, if everyone agrees that there are human rights, that since the baby in the womb is a person, then it does deserve to live. They use the example of like, if your little brother runs into the house and says, "Can I kill it?" Your mom's gonna ask you, "Well, what is it? What do you want to kill?" Because certain things you can kill, and like if it's like a spider, you know, yes, you can kill the spider. But if it's a person, you're never gonna say, "Yes, you could kill the person," because that's morally corrupt. So it's the same thing with a preborn child. No one's gonna say, I mean, if the preborn is a person, no one's going to say, yes, you can kill it. So you have to prove that it is. And yeah, like I said, if it isn't killing a human being, then it's not wrong. And if it is killing a human being, then there shouldn't be any argument that would ever justify it. So that's what you want to get to, that nothing justifies killing the preborn. So that's when you have to decide what are the preborn babies. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I am here. All right, so you want to first decide that they are distinct. So at the moment of conception, they have 23 chromosomes from the father and 23 chromosomes from the mother. And they form a new entity because a baby that at conception, it is no longer just a sperm or just an egg. The union of the sperm and the egg does create something entirely different. So you do have to conclude that it is something entirely different from the mother and the father and from the egg and the sperm. It's not just a floating organism, it's a life. And it has unique DNA from anything else ever created. So it is something distinct and separate from its parents, which that's really important argument because a lot of the time people will say it's technically the mother's body until it comes out. But if you're proving actually no, that entity that was just created is not the mother and is not the father and is entirely different DNA, people will say, okay, I mean, they'll have a harder time arguing that point. The next point is that it is alive. Living things come from other living things. So you can look at the qualities of living things by just literally looking at a science book. Like you can't just say, oh, the mother and father created nothing or created something that is dead. It's metabolizing energy, it's growing, it's developing, it's responding to stimuli, it's doing all the things that living creatures do. So if it is doing that, and it's like specifically like the growth is an obvious one. If it's growing bigger and bigger and its organisms are expanding, like it's not dead. Like that's pretty clear. So you first say that it's a unique thing, it's a living thing, and it's whole. That's super important. So you don't want to say like at the beginning of the baby's life, it's partly a human. No, you want to say it's entirely human because it is. The zygote is a self-directed whole unit, and it has all of its parts. They're just not fully developed yet. Nothing changes in regards to, you know, it getting new things. As a zygote and from the moment of conception, it is fully human and fully alive. People confuse parts with a whole, so like aren't sperms and eggs alive? And they'll say like, what about skin cells? Yes, those are alive, but they're acting as part of something else. But a baby and a zygote is not acting as part of something else. It is it isn't part of a whole, if that makes sense. And we know this because the DNA of a sperm and an egg are the same as the parents, but the DNA of the zygote is entirely its own. So you have to know that it's not part of something else. Okay. And then the last thing, so it's distinct, it's living, it's whole, and it's human. So this seems like very logical, the easy part. Like its mother is human, its father is human, so the baby has to be human because a woman can't create a cat, and a dolphin is not going to give birth to a goat. Like the species begets its own species. So that should be very obvious, that if a woman and a man have created something, they've created something like themselves. Yeah, so that's just like the law of biology, that a cat produces a cat, a dog produces a dog, so a human produces a human. And something really I think is very interesting and important is a lot of the time people who are pro-choice are like adamant about the treatment of dogs, and especially treatment of pregnant dogs. They will like go to dog facilities and be like, this is a pregnant puppy, how could you ever like kill it or not care about the puppies in the womb of this other dog. Partly that's because, well, first of all, we have a ridiculous obsession with dogs in the world, which is great, they're so cute, but humans are so much more important than dogs. And also, in the case of the dog, the mother does not have reason and can't like argue the choice, you know. So it's like, okay, so just because a mom has a human mother can voice a choice to kill her baby, that's okay, but this dog that can't, you know, so there's no argument there. But so yeah, so it's important to think that the baby is distinct, it is living, it's whole, and it's human. And once you can get to that argument, okay, it's alive and it has to be a human, it's going to get harder for the people to argue that the baby in the womb can be killed. Okay, next slide. Okay, so once you have that it's alive, all those things, you have to find out when exactly it started to be alive. Where am I? So it begins at fertilization, and actually pretty much like 90% of biologists with a master's or a doctorate will tell you that life begins at fertilization. They've actually, even the ones who are pro-choice, they have to admit, like, yes, the baby is a human right at the beginning. And so many people are ignorant of this. They don't know this. And so they can grow up thinking like, oh, it's not really a person or a human, so it's fine. But then, because there are so many people who do know that it's a human and still argue for the pro-choice argument, that's because they're saying something that the baby is different from, that being a human is different from being a person worthy of human rights. So that is the next argument. All right. And I feel like we sort of already went through some of these slides in the things that I've been saying. Let's see. They just want me to point out that construction and development are two different things. They're sort of already talked about, like the part versus the whole. People will say, like, isn't a car not really a car until it fully has all of its parts and it's running? That is true. But a baby in the womb is not like that car. It already has all of its parts, and the only difference is that the parts are not fully developed. So they use the analogy of this Polaroid, saying that when you snap a picture with a Polaroid, all the pieces are there, but it takes, you know, like you have to shake it for the image to show up. So it's just a matter of time that it is revealed that it was a complete thing. In the same way with an unborn baby, right from the beginning, all the parts are there, and it's a whole thing. It's just taking time for it to develop into a human being that can actually live and survive on its own, you know, and have its parts fully functional, if that makes sense. Okay. Also, yeah, people use terms like zygote and embryo and fetus to make it really seem like, because the more you talk about a baby, it's harder for people to you know, separate. Because if you say baby, baby, baby over and over, people are just going to say, they're going to think in their head, yes, it's a person. So people will often just call an unborn baby a fetus instead of the baby that it is, because they think it's like, it's more dehumanizing and it's easier to separate. But actually fetus means, it means young one. So basically the only difference between a fetus and like a 3-year-old is age. A fetus is just a little baby that has only been alive for, you know, a week or a month or in the womb or 2 months. And then once it's out of the womb, it's already been alive for 9 months and it's an infant. And then as it gets to age 2, 3, it's a toddler, and then it's a teen, and then it's an adult. It's really just a difference of age. So the argument of, oh, it's a fetus, oh, it's an embryo, it's not a person, that doesn't add up, because then you're just going to be accused of being ageist and say, oh, you're not a human until you're 5, or you're not a human until you're 2, or, you know, and then that actually, like, that's where we get to euthanasia, because then we act like, oh, once a person's past the age of 80, they're not as useful anymore, so we can do away with them. That's such an awful way to think. And it's the same with when you're looking at a toddler versus a baby in the womb. They're not any less they're not any less valuable. Yes, the toddler can do more than the baby in the womb, but what they can do and how they can help society does not determine worth. And you can really make that point by saying fetus just is a matter of age. And if you really think it's okay to kill it, you're saying it's okay because a 10-year-old is more important than a 5-year-old, and a 5-year-old is more important than a 1-year-old because it has more that it can do for society. Okay, so once you go through, like, clearly it's a person, because something that is non-human can't suddenly become human. Once you realize, okay, it's alive, it's distinct, it's not part of the mother and father, so you have determined that at any stage from conception, the baby in the womb is something unique, and alive and human. Then you have to make the point, okay, then when do human rights begin? Because a lot of people, like, at this point, it's like, yes, it's a person or it's a human, but the human rights of the mother is more important than the baby. So if the mom wants to make that choice, that's fine. So science has established that the preborn are human, but it does not tell us what is right or wrong in regards to how to treat that human. So we must establish a philosophical foundation, and then move forward with that. So how do we get people to see that the human rights of the child start as early as in the womb? So a really quick, easy way to do this is say, let's see, are the preborn growing? If they are growing, aren't they alive? Yes. And if it has human parents, then doesn't it follow that it's human? So we already kind of talked about that a human woman cannot create a dog. So yeah, if your mother is human and your father is human, then you are human. Just like if a dog got pregnant, you would never say, oh, my puppy's having cat, my dog is having cats. So yes, so it's growing, it's alive, it's human. And if living humans like you and I have human rights, then why don't babies in the womb have human rights as well? And that's a very quick philosophical argument that you can use very quickly. And they're going to be hard pressed to answer that question. Like, it's alive, it's a human, why doesn't it have rights the same as me? And then many will concede on human embryology and say the baby is living and that it's human, but they will not grant the human in the womb rights. Let's see, because it's not actually a person. And a person is a legal term, not a philosophical term. So they use this like as a tool in societies to define who gets human rights, and who gets defined out of existence. So you need to help people understand that there's no difference between a preborn baby or a preborn human and any other human. And that's super important because they will try to say that humanity does not determine personhood. They'll say, because it's less valuable, it doesn't get as much of a say and as much of a right as anybody else. Okay, so the preborn is human, but is not a person. How do we answer this objection? We must help people see that preborn humans are actually valuable, and abortion advocates will agree that the preborn are human, but they will say that the mother has the right to take its life. So then if you make that argument, then you're saying that being a person means being human plus being something else. Because if it was really just a person is a human, then we would have already established that the human in the womb is a person. But if they're saying, nope, the mother has the right to kill her baby, then they must be saying the baby doesn't deserve human rights because it's not a person, because personhood means being human and something else. So then we go to, fine, a person is a human plus viability, so it has life. No, fine, a person is a human plus consciousness. If it can't reason for itself and think on its own, then it's not actually a person. A human plus fetal pain, because a lot of people will say it's okay to abort unless the baby can feel pain. But then you get people who argue a baby it's a human plus if the mother has perfect circumstances. So if the mother wants the baby, then it's a baby. And then you just get really down the slippery slope, because then you're saying, okay, it's a human, if it's a person, if it's a human plus every other threshold that you want to make, you know, there will always be a reason why someone will say, my baby doesn't deserve life because I don't want it. But then you get to so many reasons why we have devalued humans, born humans in the past. You know, if they're a certain race, if they're not a certain race, then they're not worthy of personhood. If they're not a certain gender, they're not worthy of personhood. If they're not a certain skin color, because we saw that, you know, during World War II, who were discriminated against? The Jews. It wasn't that they were pre-born, it was just that certain people, the Nazis, thought we're better than them and they don't deserve to live because they're less than human. They made that decision about Jewish people specifically, or, you know, gay people, or whoever else they discriminated against. And then during slavery, it was the white people are better than black people, when they made that decision that if you're black, you're less than human. And then women were seen as less than men until, you know, the civil feminine rights movement and women voting, things like that. So that's when you get to a very slippery slope. You're saying, okay, you just said that personhood is determined by humanity plus this, humanity plus this. That's the argument of the Nazis and the slave owners and people who say it's fine for me to dominate the life of another person because I think it is, and because it fits my ideas. And then you really will be showing them that they are discriminating. So that's a really helpful way to have a philosophical argument for why the human in the womb is just as much a person as the human outside of the womb. Because then you're saying, okay, well, because this baby, you know, is really small or hasn't come out of the birth canal, or it really just, it boils down to abortion is discrimination. And if they see that and they kind of realize, okay, I'm being compared to Hitler right now, because the discrimination in World War II and the discrimination, like, abortion really is just a modern day Holocaust, and it's 60 million lives instead of the 6 million. I mean, horribly, but it's a grander scale of what happened in World War II. And if you really kind of make people see that you can't just like form your opinions to make someone human or not human, that's just subjectivity and not true to reality. So I think we already, so yeah, so sorry, I'm not keeping up with my PowerPoints, but yeah, so we have it's human but it's not a person. We made those arguments. Then you bring up slavery, the Holocaust, child labor. These are all examples of people being treated as less than human by other people just because of who they are, which is exactly what happens when you say the preborn are not people because the mother doesn't want them, or because they have Down syndrome, or because, you know, they're too weak to speak up for themselves. It's easy to kill them because they're defenseless, but that's a terrible argument, you know, because then people are saying, well, 2-year-olds are defenseless too. Should we kill them? You know? So then they get to, okay, fine, it's a person, fine, it's discriminatory, but what about the extreme circumstances for the mother? Shouldn't we think of the mothers first? Because the mother is, you know, already out of the womb. So it's really good to acknowledge that, yes, difficult circumstances are stressful and you really can feel for the mother and want to do everything to help her, but you want to show them that abortion is not the proper response to a difficult situation and is only going to exacerbate that situation. So, like, yes, it's terrible that if a 12-year-old girl is pregnant from rape, like, obviously that's a difficult situation and that's tragic for her. Or if you have a baby that has Down, or your child has Down syndrome, yes, that's going to be difficult in some ways because disabilities are sometimes hard to adapt to and you might not know what to expect. But that doesn't give you the right to kill that life. And unfortunately, yeah, you can't bring in God here, but it's amazing to think about like what people don't realize will be a blessing in their life if they just are open to the circumstances that are brought to them, regardless of God. How many people, you know, are taken by surprise when they take a leap of faith and realize, wow, I thought that was going to be terrible, but I really surprised myself, and that turned out way better than I thought it would. That's probably pretty much always the case with women who are afraid to choose life but do. They realize, wow, my life without my baby would be so different and so much less fulfilling than it is now. And that's really just a matter of them being able to kind of look past the stressful situation in front of them and say, yes, this is going to be hard, but the blessings and what's to come are going to outweigh that struggle. So in regards to intense circumstances like this, you want to build a common ground. I think we're technically here. Yeah, so build a common ground with them. You want to make sure you listen to them, that you acknowledge the difficulties, and that you understand that it's difficult, but just like in real life and with people who are already, you know, born, when you have a difficult situation, you don't solve it by like, you know, if you're struggling with school, you don't solve it by cheating, or if you don't like your neighbor, you don't solve it by killing them. You know, it's the same kind of thing, and you just have to kind of, it's sort of like beating a dead horse, talking about it over and over, but it is true. Like, you have to really show them, like, yes, I understand, but can the baby really be culpable for this, for the intense circumstances, or should we actually, you know, kind of see beyond the situation and show that we're here to support them and help them get through the bad situation. Let's see. So yeah, so you make common ground, like we both care about women. They decide, okay, yeah, I think late-term abortion is wrong. That's a good common ground. Yes, I believe we should have fewer abortions. That's good as well. But then you want to really, where are we actually? This is, okay, so yeah, listen to their view, make sure that you understand the difficulties. Why are we going through like 4? Okay. Okay, but this is where it actually gets pretty intense, but really actually effective. A really effective argument is when, you know, you're listening to them and yes, I understand, I see your view, but you really want to show them that the view is wrong, that in a difficult circumstance, you can kill the unborn baby. We call it trot out the toddler. So you create a parallel example in that bad situation, but use a baby that is already alive. So some people will say it's really awful to bring a baby into a world of poverty. If you know that they're going to have a really tough life, shouldn't it be better that they never are born at all and they don't have to deal with that? Which everybody who's been alive knows that dealing with tough situations is tough, but no one would say I'd rather be dead for the most part. I mean, yes, some people become suicidal, things like that, but for the most part, people who deal with struggles, they won't say, okay, I just want to die. Like, they would rather go through life with the challenges of life than have never seen life at all. But if people don't understand the argument, then you can say, all right, what if a family of three kids finds out they're pregnant and they're very poor and they really don't feel like they can afford this new baby, they're really stressed out, then you say, fine, would it be okay for them to kill their infant, their third baby? And of course, like, everyone's going to say no, but actually, like, then you can say, well, that baby is using resources right now, you taking their money right now. The baby in the womb is actually not costing them any money. It's the babies that are already alive that are actually creating this this intense situation. So wouldn't it make sense to kill that baby? And everyone's going to say, well, no, that's wrong, because, and you say, why? Because it's a child. Exactly. So is the baby in the womb. It's a child. So, you know, if a woman was raped and 2 years later, and she has the baby, and 2 years later because people always say, like, what if she doesn't want to see the rapist in her child? Yes, that would be really a struggle. But if she gives birth and 2 years later she sees her baby and it reminds her of the rapist, like, would it be okay to kill the baby? No, of course not. In the same way, it wouldn't be okay to kill it when it's in the womb, because there's no difference between the toddler and the baby in the womb except for the age of the toddler. And unfortunately, like, it's really hard to see that, because once the baby is born and you can see it and you meet it and you talk to it, a lot of people will bond in a certain way that they're not bonding with their unborn baby. And that is really tough, because some people are not going to see it as a person until they can, you know, interact with it. But you do have to you have to try to help people realize, I know you can't see the baby right now, I know you can't touch the baby right now, but you will, and you will come to love it in the same way that you'll love this toddler. And getting rid of it is not gonna solve anything. It will just leave you with this emptiness inside of you. And yes, it's not always going to work, but when I saw that argument, I was like, dang, using the toddler was a smart way to do it, because it is the exact same circumstance. It's you getting rid of one person, born or unborn, no matter the circumstance, for your own convenience, or to alleviate something that you think is going to be stressful for you. So yeah, instead of saying, okay, yes, killing your baby is the answer, of course not. We want to address her needs. So you want to let her know that oh wait, what is it? Okay, yeah. So yes, the baby is human, and so if to actually kill it is obviously wrong, but you want to make sure that you're there for the woman. So society often presents abortion as a way to fix a woman's situation, you know, like she wants a career and she doesn't want to have babies, so it's good to get rid of your baby. But it actually doesn't fix the problems at all. It doesn't fix the place that brings her to choose an abortion. So you want to really address her actual needs, since abortion is not the solution. Let's see. So yeah, they give like certain examples. So like, if she's in poverty, abortion isn't the answer. Helping her financially is the answer. Or if she lost her job, then, or like, yeah, I have to abort this baby because I lost my job. You want to reach out to her to help her have a support system. You know, like, does the father of the baby or her husband, can they help support her? Can you help her, you know, with babysitting or child support? So that's why with our Pregnant on Campus initiative, we try really hard to show women that having a baby, being a mom, being pregnant is not going to make it impossible for them to fulfill their other dreams. We're there for them if they, you know, for diaper drives and babysitting, and we try to give parking lots on campus that are for the women, and you know, just make them see that they have a support system and they can go through with this pregnancy and still do the other things that they had planned, that it's not gonna, you know, destroy everything that they thought their future was gonna have, you know. Let's see. And then in the special case of rape, it is true that, yeah, that argument is 90% like relational and emotional, and 10% intellectual. So you want to be very careful and compassionate when you're talking about the case of rape with a woman, especially because you don't know if she has been a victim of rape. You want to be very understanding that might be her issue. So if you're talking about this in a public setting, yeah, there might always be someone who's in earshot of what you're talking about. So when the question comes up, what about in the case of rape? Why would you not be able to kill your baby then? You want to instantly find common ground by acknowledging first, yes, this is a crisis. Yes, rape is an injustice, and it's terrible. And the person who committed the rape should be punished to the full extent of the law. And we need to fix our laws to have harsher punishments, because it is true that sometimes they just get away with it, and it can haunt the women, and they can be traumatized and really be afraid, you know, if something like this could happen again, or just always be feared for their life. So you want to spend 90% talking about how awful it is. And once she realizes how much you care about her and how much you understand that this was traumatizing and that you feel for her, then you want to bring up the baby. Because we talk about a lot with sidewalk counseling, especially, you want to show the woman that you're there for her first, and then her baby, and then for faith reasons. So we say, mom baby God. So it's really important to come to the woman first and then to talk about her baby, because first of all, like, and when all said and done, a lot of the time she's thinking more like in survival mode. I have to protect myself. So she's not thinking about her baby. So just make sure that she knows that you're there for her and that you understand, and then talk about the baby. So so then someone might want to ask you, well, then you agree with abortion should be legal in cases of rape, or, well, I just think abortion should stay legal in cases of rape. It happens all the time. You can say something like, given the violence that she's had committed to her by the rapist, how does it make sense to turn around and just do another act of violence to another person, to an innocent human? The woman was an innocent human that was treated terribly, and you're going to fix that by treating another human being terribly. And then also you would say, how would, in a lot of abortion just kind of adds to the problem, and it just creates hurt upon hurt. If a woman's been raped, you don't fix it by performing an abortion. That's just even more invasive mistreatment of her. So that's not going to actually fix anything. You're just adding evil to evil, violence to violence. And if someone pushes it further on an intellectual level, then you can take it to, as awful as rape is, isn't the unborn person a human? Yes, it's evil, but the unborn person is a human. And isn't the question we must answer, how should a civil and just society treat people who remind us of painful events? Like, yes, it might have been a painful event, but that's still a person. If you want to kill anyone that reminds you of something awful, that's never going to be the answer. And then you can do it again. You can trot up a toddler and say, well, what if her 3-year-old son reminded her of her rapist? Would she have a right then to kill it? And people 99 times out of 100 will say, of course not. And then you have to say, it is the same, because it's still her child. It's just a matter of age. And if you really discriminate based on age, then that's exactly what you're doing. You're discriminating, just the way people have always in the past with slavery and genocide and the Holocaust. Let's see. Also, if you know stories about women who chose life and like didn't regret it. So if you have stories of friends or anybody that you know who has gone through an intense abortion situation and came out on the other side, it's really good to kind of bring that, because examples can always help people to see your side. Patricia Heaton, she's an awesome actress, famous. She's in Everybody Loves Raymond, and she says abortion is a reflection that society has failed women, and that really is true. Society is telling women that to have everything you want, you have to forego being a mother, you have to forego pregnancy, babies are an obstacle. But honestly, like, being a mom is such a great gift that God has given. The ability to create life is literally the most amazing thing in the world. And to say, oh, you can have all your dreams except that one, like, it's just telling women they have to limit themselves, and women should not limit themselves. They should be able to follow any dream that they want. And a big dream of most women, like you all said, is to some of you is to have families, and to tell women, like, oh, that's not enough. Oh, being a homemaker and a mom is not enough. Like, don't you want to do something great with your life? The world needs to see that motherhood is great. It really is the greatest thing that we can do, give life to another. So we want to really be kind of pushing that and showing people, like, no, you don't have to give up motherhood to pursue your dreams. First of all, motherhood can be a dream and should be if you're open to it, and also you should be able to do other things and be a mom at the same time. Okay, and then let's see. So this is a big one too. Kind of sad. A lot of people will give you the argument of, I'm pro-life personally, but I don't want to put that on someone else. I don't want to force them and say they have to choose to be pro-life too. I would never impose my beliefs. They treat it like, okay, it's not the same as like religious beliefs or something, but people want to say that it is. But in the end, it's just saying your belief that a person is a person should be your own. But then you're saying, well, I think rape is wrong, but I don't want to put that on someone else. So in the end, you want to show it's not that abortion is a choice. Abortion is just wrong. It's not for you to say what's right or wrong. Certain things just are wrong and are right. Sorry. So yeah, it's not that we don't like abortion, it's that we know that abortion is wrong. It's not a matter of preference like ice cream. So people will say, like, if you don't like abortion, don't have one. But then if you use that argument, you could say, well, I don't think it's okay to have slaves, but I'm not going to tell this person that they can't have slaves. Or I think the Holocaust was wrong, but Hitler can do what he wants. Like, no one ever thinks that's going to be okay. Like, everyone is going to agree the Holocaust was wrong. No one has the right to do that. Slavery was wrong. No one has the right to do that. It should be the same for the abortion argument. Killing a baby is wrong, and it's never okay for someone to do that. And it's not a matter of choice, like what kind of flavor ice cream do you want today? You know, that's why people say, like, people always say, I'm forgetting the slogan, but my body, my choice. You say that, but what is the choice you're looking at there? You're not saying, like, it's my body so I can wear whatever I want today, or it's my body, I can, you know, tattoo my face if I want. Yes, you can. Like, not really commendable or like something you'd recommend, but you can do that. But my body, my choice, and like subjective choices that you have are not the same as you choosing to kill someone. That's like saying a psychopath has the right to take a knife and stab someone because it's his body, his choice. It doesn't follow, because certain things are not a matter of choice. I think someone literally just said that right before I started my presentation, that certain things are a choice. Murder is not a choice, ever. And it shouldn't be. Self-defense, yes, that's something different. But does that make sense? Like, you want to show people, like, this isn't a choice, this is murder. And for you to say, well, I'm not okay with it, but you're saying fine, then some people can have slaves and some people can, you know, and Hitler was okay to do that because that was his decision. No, obviously no one's going to agree with that. So you have to show that it is the same kind of thing. And then, yeah, people will say, like, it's wrong for me. So that's when you want to get to the heart of the matter. Like, people are going to say, abortion is wrong for me, but not for someone else. And that's when you want to say, well, why is it wrong for you? And they're going to have to say, well, because it's killing somebody. Yes, exactly. You just said it. It is killing someone, and killing is never okay. Regardless of whether you're religious or not, it's just a matter of moral law and humanity. Killing is against the law. Okay, so then we often, when we're in like the same, a group with a lot of people, we would go through and have 1/5 of the crowd stand up, because 1/5 of the population is gone because of abortion. And that will, so if you're ever like giving a talk, I don't know when this will be, or like if you're ever in a group at school and you kind of want to show the reality of abortion, you'll say, you'll have 1/5 of the crowd stand up and you'll say that many people are not here today because of abortion. And they could have been your best friend, or they could have been your future husband, or they could have been the valedictorian of your school, or they could have grown up to, you know, they use a lot, we say a lot, like, maybe cancer would have been cured right now, but you aborted that baby that was going to cure cancer. Like, God has a plan for every person that he creates. And when we snuff out life, we're snuffing out all the possibilities that could have been that person's life. And then, kind of crazy, but I like to think about the fact that it's not just that 1/5 of people. Actually, every person who isn't born, you know, they were meant possibly to get married and to have a family of their own. And that family would have had, those kids would have had kids, and those kids would have had kids. I think about it all the time, how, you know, Jacob had, or Abraham had just Isaac. Abraham had one kid, and from that became the descendants of all of the Jews and all of the descendants of the people of Israel. So from one person came all of those people. And so when you snuff out one life, you're snuffing out generations. So that is also something that can be very impactful. Okay, sorry, we're almost done here, guys. Thank you for your patience. So yeah, so once you talk to them about that and hopefully you're changing minds here, then you want to, you want to turn your conversation into action. So you want to inspire people to get out and be talking about these same things with other people and changing more hearts and minds. So things like sidewalk counseling, partnering with pregnancy centers, setting up a tabling event like you guys have been doing, going to the Walk for Life, or having like an awareness week at school. You're at a secular school, so it's really good to bring this to your campus and to have like a week where you want to make people more aware of the reality of abortion. And because a lot of people, yeah, like I was saying, don't know what it is. So you want to educate more people as you can and get as many people as you can to be on board with you to educate and to not be silent, because we need voices. We need to build an army to fight for life. So here's some more apologetics that you can go to. We started Students for Life HQ, which is resources for anybody who wants it. It's free, and it's trainings. It can kind of help you navigate the 5 pillars. Trent Horn is a great speaker. I don't know if any of you went to the Stand for Life event or watched any of the apologetics trainings, but Stephanie Gray spoke, and she is amazing. I'm actually hoping to do a book club soon on her book, Love Unleashes Life, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. I'm hoping to host it like in March, a Zoom book club to talk about this book. But yeah, just be reading more about abortion apologetics so you feel like more and more equipped to talk to people about these things. Let's see, are there any questions? Thank you for staying long and being here.
Oh, I have a question.
That's awesome.
Okay. So recently, me and my mom and my sister were outside of an abortion clinic, and this lady came over to us, and she said she had an abortion. She was like 80 something, and she said she had an abortion when she was really young, and she didn't regret it and all that, whatever.
Okay.
And so my mom talked to her a lot, but she was just not gonna change her mind. So we agreed to disagree, and she went back in. All else. But it's really hard to talk to someone who's had an abortion, because you can't tell them everything, because it's so difficult. So I don't know if you have any like tips.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so when you already know they already performed, like already had the abortion done, and it's not a matter of talking them out of it or something like that. It's really good to point them to healing after abortion, regardless of how old they are. Maybe they've never gone to counseling for that or really sought healing. A lot of the time when women are adamant that they don't regret it, it's really just because they do regret it severely, and they're kind of in denial and just telling themselves over and over they don't regret it because they don't want to deal with the sadness that will really overtake them if they come to grips with what they've done. So you want to point them to, just let them know that there is healing for them. I think it's called Rachel's Vineyard or Martha's Vineyard or something. I think it's Rachel's Vineyard. Yeah, Martha's Vineyard is not it. I think it's Rachel's Vineyard, and they have like services for, they give like retreats and counseling for women who have gone through abortions. So even if she doesn't want to hear it, just say it, and maybe it will resonate. You just want to plant little seeds of hope in these women. So, and yeah, sometimes they just want to yell at you. And tell you that they don't regret it. I actually just experienced this with someone, and no matter what I said, they were just gonna be like, nope, that's wrong. And sometimes there's nothing you can say, but you can just try your best to point them to what you think might be the real issue. A lot of the time it is they're just very guilty and empty because that life was taken away from them. And so you just want to let them know you're there to listen if they want to talk. So make sure to say that. Well, if you ever want to talk, you ever want to, you can sometimes, if you're open to it, like give them information for how to like get in touch with you. If you ever want to, like, let's go for coffee and talk about it. But yeah, pointing them to those services, and then also just praying for them. I don't, that isn't an answer for everyone, because not everyone is religious, but for the people that I meet that I just can see that they're struggling, sometimes they'll say over and over, I don't regret it, and then they leave and they're crying in their car, and like they just wanted to say that. And sometimes if you really just listen and you show that you care, eventually they kind of will open up. It has happened that people are angry, and you just say, well, I'm really sorry that happened, and you come to them with an open heart, and eventually they might actually say, like, no one told me that the pain of this was going to be so intense, and they'll finally admit that they had an abortion, and you could be the breakthrough. So you want to kind of plant the seed to help them be willing to talk to someone, and even if it's not you they're willing to talk to, maybe eventually there will be someone that they're willing to open up to because of that conversation.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think I put something in here, but I don't know. Yeah, so we'll have hopefully that another training on sidewalk advocacy on, I think we said the 19th. Is that what it was? Let me know if that's something you want. We do have a Pro-Life Future campaign coming up, so people who are about to be out of college, that's a way for you to get involved even though you're not a student. We're going to be actually going door to door to raise awareness about the pregnancy centers in Phoenix, Arizona. It's called Standing With You is our new name for the Pregnant on Campus. So it's a Standing With You campaign. We're going to be partnering with churches. So if you want to get involved with helping me go door to door, let me know. I'm going to have to build a team of like 15 to go once a week or once a month. Just door to door to talk to people about the pregnancy centers in the area and where to go instead of Planned Parenthood. And then we're also going to be letting them know about the violences that are happening at Planned Parenthood and the things that are happening that are very, there's been proof that like certain places are not meeting health standards, things like that. So we're going to be opening people's eyes about that as well. And then I know one of you said you were in high school. We are doing a National High School Summit on February 18th. That'll just be like an hour and a half, and it's just a panel to talk about how to navigate COVID or pro-life work during COVID, and to get any questions you have answered. And there's going to be like a panel about our 5 pillars. So if you want to register for that, you can just go to studentsforlife.org/National High School Summit. I'll type it here so you know exactly. And then if you want to spread the word to any high schoolers that might be interested.
Do you know if there's anything planned for Southern California that's similar to the Standing With You door-to-door campaign?
Oh yeah, so Standing With You is it's going to be nationwide, but the door-to-door thing, we're doing that in Phoenix, and then we have Pro-Life Future in Orange County as well. But my group is only in Phoenix. But I think Camille Cisneros might be doing it in the Orange County, San Diego area. She runs our supportive services department, so she'll be working with pregnancy centers there. Yeah. So I can give you guys her info. It's actually just C. Cisneros at studentsforlife.org. Mm-hmm. If you want to email her. Sorry, I'm the slowest typer on the planet. Okay. Yep, I think that's her email, so you can email her there if you want to get in touch with her about Pro-Life Future. But I'll be like working with Pro-Life Future in both places, but the door-to-door will be in Phoenix for me each time. Okay. Let's see. Any more questions?
Oh, could I say something real fast?
Yeah, sure.
Eliana and I, since we're in high school, we go to this, I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's called Call. It's like a super intense youth group. It's really cool. Anyway, but yeah, we had a pro-life talk about it, and we had this lady, she's like a professional speaker about the pro-life thing, and she uses this, it's called SLED. So a lot of people argue about the size, the level of development, and the environment, and how dependent the baby is. You like covered most of it, but like a lot of people think of like, well, if the baby's still dependent on their mother, like it's not as valuable as say like you or me. But a lot of people say like, what if you were alone at a pool and a 2-year-old fell in and was drowning? Wouldn't that 2-year-old be dependent on you? But would it be wrong to not save it?
That's amazing. That's perfect. I I was on the sidewalk once, and I had a woman argue so intensely about that she admitted that she thought it was okay to leave a baby on the sidewalk if they didn't want to keep breastfeeding the baby. So
Oh my gosh.
crazy, I know. But that argument that you just gave is so good. Like, yes, the baby drowning at the bottom of the pool can't help itself, but you have a moral obligation to save that baby. And if you don't, like, the whole world will see you as a monster because that's just not okay. And it is the same. That's a wonderful example.
Thank
I mean,
you.
that's why I was crazy when I was thinking about the saline abortion. You're like drowning this baby inside of its mother. It's so obviously like inhumane and against nature to not want to nourish and grow that beautiful life. Like life generally, people want to nourish it and see it grow, and to snuff it
Yeah.
out is like, it's crazy that it's not seen as so inhumane. But it is true that there's a difference when you can look at the baby with your eyes and when you can't. It's like
Yeah.
a thing that it's like this mental block. So we really have to be pushing. The
Yeah.
2-year-old in the pool is no different from the baby in the womb. So thank you for saying that. That was awesome.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Any more questions or anything you guys want me to go over a little bit more? It is already almost 9, so I went over. I'm sorry. But it was my first time. I'm not super fast yet.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you for coming though and doing that presentation. That was a lot of great information.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. And yeah,
That's really
there's
good.
actually an Apologetics 202 or 201 instead of 101, and that speaks more to emotional arguments. It's a little trickier because it's not just philosophy. It's like really trying to bring in, more emotional stuff. So I can go over that. I can do that another time if you want. So you can let me know if you want to do that training or the sidewalk advocacy one next. Just let me know. But also, I hope you guys go to that thing on February 12th and that you feel like you took notes and are ready to combat this feminist lady who wants to believe in reproductive justice. We'll see. But yeah, good luck with that, and let me know how that goes.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys.
Thanks so
everyone
much.
for coming.
Good night, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.